What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Taking a Risk with George. Today is the big day. It is Inauguration Day, which is January 20th, and there is stimulus news, believe it or not, so we're going to get into that in this episode, so stay tuned. Alright, so the stimulus news that we are talking about is, of course, the third stimulus check that we could possibly receive, and it looks like, from what I've been reading, that we are going to receive, or at least they're going to talk about, a $1,400 stimulus check. And what that means is that you, as a qualified adult, would receive a $1,400 check, as well as every dependent that you claim under the age of 16. Now let's get into this article and find out more details. The third stimulus check, when you could get a $1,400 check. President-elect Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan proposed a third round of stimulus checks of $1,400 for most Americans. Yet while that could extend a helping hand to millions of households still suffering from the pandemic's economic fallout, it could be months until the payouts arrive. The price tag of the relief package, called the American Rescue Plan, is likely to face pushback from Republican lawmakers who last year resisted Democratic efforts to pass a $2 trillion bill. Heights security analyst Hunter Hammond expects the ultimate package to be trimmed to $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion, but most analysts think lawmakers on both sides of the aisle will back the $1,400 direct payments, which economists view as a lifeline for many cash-strapped workers who lost their job or seen their income plummet during the pandemic. Support for another stimulus package may gain steam given several developments that point to widening economic distress as the pandemic worsens. According to Ed Mills, an analyst with investment bank Raymond James, a weaker outlook for the labor market with the bigger than expected 1 million jobless claims during the first week of January, as well as record numbers of COVID-19 infections and deaths, could push lawmakers to support President Biden's plan for additional stimulus, analysts say. The market is back to an expectation that more fiscal stimulus is all but inevitable in the early days of the Biden administration. With the release of a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, Mills said in a report on February 15th. While we anticipate the additional fiscal support remains likely, the timing and scope are very much in flux. Chief among the issues are whether Republican lawmakers would support the package or if the Biden administration would eventually tackle its spending priorities by breaking apart the spending proposal into two bills, analysts say. On Tuesday, Janet Yellen, President Biden's choice as Treasury Secretary, said that the incoming administration would focus on winning quick passage of its $1.9 trillion pandemic relief plan. Yellen argued that additional stimulus, including President Biden's proposal for a $15 minimum wage, are necessary to prevent economic scarring due to this pandemic. Here's what analysts are predicting about the $1,400 check and other spending proposals. Are the $1,400 checks a done deal? Very likely, according to Wall Street and political analysis, there is growing support among Republican lawmakers for additional stimulus directed toward low and middle income households, with the latest effort to pass a $2,000 stimulus check winning some bipartisan support. There's an 85% chance a scaled down package will be passed in the first 3 months of 2021, predicts Heights Security Hammond. Because of the ongoing support for additional direct aid to households, checks are likely to be included in that smaller package. We believe there is support for a smaller package that includes the $1,400 checks, more healthcare funding, support for small businesses, and some state and local aid, Mills said. When would I get a $1,400 check? Alec Phillips, chief U.S. political economist with Goldman Sachs, thinks the package could be passed in mid-February to mid-March. After the relief bill passes Congress, it must be signed by the president. After that, the IRS would distribute funds through direct deposits, mail checks, and prepaid debit cards. In the first stimulus payments in April 2020, which directed $1,200 to eligible adults as well as $500 per child, it typically took 2 weeks to several months for payments to reach it. The second round of checks, which sent $600 to eligible adult and child, required about a week for the funds to arrive via direct deposit. But in some cases, people experienced delays in receiving the money due to problems with their account information. Based on previous stimulus money payouts, and assuming Congress passes a new relief bill by mid-February, the checks could arrive in bank accounts by late February, although that would likely be a best-case scenario. If a package is passed by the end of March, people might get their checks by early April, which would be fantastic, because that would mean that they can then start working on a fourth stimulus check if we still need it at that point, which, with the way things are going, I do not doubt that is going to be the case. The caveat is these timeframes assume that at least 10 Republican senators support the package, allowing for 60 votes in the Senate to overcome a possible filibuster and pass the bill, analysis noted. If the Biden administration cannot muster enough GOP support, then stimulus backers could move to pass it under a process known as budget reconciliation. That parliamentary maneuver only requires a majority vote for legislation to become law, though it can delay passage. Do Americans really need the money? Signs point to millions of households facing financial hardship as the pandemic worsens, which is causing some businesses to lay off staff and cut back hours. In December, hiring around the US fell for the first time in 7 months as the virus weighed especially hard on restaurants, bars, and other service-related businesses. The number of Americans applying for weekly jobless claims, a proxy for layoffs, last week also jumped to nearly 1 million. The financial need is greatest among lower-income households, yet almost half of households with incomes above $150,000 said they needed the stimulus checks for financial stability, according to a recent survey from Credit Karma. Almost 6 in 10 households are facing financial hardship, TransUnion found in a November survey. The additional stimulus funds will be essential to the financial stability of many Americans, including those who appear to be higher earners, Colleen McCreary, Chief People Officer at Credit Karma, told CBS Money Watch in an email. As the pandemic drags on, Americans are continuing to feel the financial crunch. A new survey from Bankrate.com found that more than half of Americans said the second stimulus check of $600 per person won't last them longer than a month. Most said they would use the money to pay household bills and day-to-day essentials. Overall, President Biden's stimulus plan would amount to roughly $3,500 per household, according to Oxford Economics. In other measures to support workers and help prop up the economy, he also wants to increase enhanced unemployment benefits to $400 a week and has called for raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. The pay floor, now $7.25 an hour, hasn't been lifted since 2009, although many states and cities around the U.S. have boosted the local minimum wage. Alright, so there you have it, folks. There is your stimulus update for today. To give a little bit of a recap, it does look like a $1,400 stimulus check is going to be proposed in a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which sounds great to me. I would love to receive more money, so go ahead and get that pushed through, and I'm sure a lot of other people would like to receive that money too. It is definitely needed in these times of hardship. So thank you all very much for watching. If you found the video informational as well as helpful, go ahead and subscribe down below, and while you're there, don't forget to turn that bell notification to all. That way you are notified the instant I upload a new video. Smash that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel and it motivates me to continue to put out content that helps you all. In the comment section below, let me know what's going on in your guys' lives. If you have any questions about the next stimulus or the past stimulus bills, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you all again so very much for watching, and I look forward to bringing you all your next update.